Angelina, as this little one creeps up closer, you're wondering, what do the jackals eat? So I was talking about it just a moment ago. From frogs to insects to rats and mites, they scavenge on carcasses, and they can also eat fruit too. They actually eat quite a fair amount of fruit, which makes them so special. This is precious. They're so curious. Now, I think they're so relaxed because they see vehicles on a regular basis. I'm going to do an illegal maneuver and take one picture because that is too precious. I have to take one more because it was overexposed. Now it's turned around again if it looks at me again. I've never seen jackal this close. I did have a really cool encounter where one ran up to me. But these guys seem to be enjoying our company. Now, Layla, you're wondering why is this jackal's ears twitching? It's probably because of the insects. There's lots of flies around at the moment, and they bite. They've been biting me all afternoon, and they, of course, bite the jackals and the other animals too. So by twitching their ears, that actually just gets rid of them. And you can see their muscles on their body are also twitching again. It's just to try and get rid of the flies. Just like some animals will use their tails as fly swatters. They can do that with their body too. Oh wow! I hope no one comes speeding down the road, because this is a main road. Ah, what a wonderful sight. You can see they're just starting to get their adult colors now too. You can see that black coming through on their backs. Now, Alave, you're wondering if you can keep a jackal as a pet. I've never had one before. I'm sure you could keep a jackal as a pet. You'd have to get it some vaccines though, because they can carry rabies and some nasty viruses and diseases. So you'd probably have to take them to the vet and get all those injections. But to be honest, I wouldn't want to have a jackal as a pet because they don't belong in my home. They belong out here in the wilderness. Would easily domesticate, but it's better that we just leave them out here where they belong. This is very cool. What an awesome sighting. And to see so many jackal pups of this age too. I mean, normally they have between 2 and 3. They can have a few more than that. But the chances of them surviving are very little. Now, Rylan, you're wondering how many jackals are in a pack? Well, normally just mom and dad that live together, and then they'll have some youngsters like the pups that we can see now. But once these guys get a bit older, so normally at about 6-7 months old, they'll actually leave the adults. A little bit older than that, maybe up to 8 months, they'll hang around, and then they'll go and start their own family somewhere else. So they don't live in big groups like wild dogs do or wolves do. They are quite solitary, other than, or they'll live in a pair. What have they found? See, something's caught their attention. I wonder what's moving through the grass. Look at those very happy tails wagging about this afternoon. Oh no. Might be maybe a grasshopper or a frog. Something's biting them. I hope they haven't come across an ant's nest. That would be biting them too. Now, UJ, you're wondering how do jackals hunt? Well, they run through the grass, and then they will pounce on their prey, so they'll leap up like a fox does, basically. If you've seen how foxes hunt, jackals do very much the same thing. And then if they're scavenging, then there's no technique involved, or sometimes quickly. Okay. I'm not going anywhere at the moment. Okay, I'm going to try and turn around very quickly so that we can get another view of these jackal. Rolf has got my favorite animal in the whole world.
Yes, and it's also one of my favorite animals, the elephant. Always fun to watch them. They are very clever animals, as well as being very big and sometimes very playful as well. Look at these two young elephants having a good play fight. We all love a good play, don't we? And these elephants are in the marshy area, in the grass, and so it's very wet under their feet, and it's been very wet for us driving in the grass as well. So we've got to be careful not to get stuck, and we've had lots of fun trying not. We feel a little bit like these elephants do at the moment. As Archie comes out, you're going to see how many more elephants there are. It's been great to watch. Julia, you're wondering where elephants, so that makes them herbivores. So in the food chain, they would be one of your first animals after the producers, which is the plants. And then you have elephants and antelope and lots of other animals, lions and the leopards, who eat herbivores. Now remember that elephants, yes, they are very big, but sometimes they can also get eaten by lions, especially the small ones. So they're in that part of the food chain. And after that comes your vultures and your hyenas, who help to decompose carcasses, etc. Hyenas can be decomposers, but they can also be carnivores, which would fall part of the predators as well. So they can be a little bit of a mix. But vultures, they are always part, or the ones after predators, because they don't hunt for themselves. They either eat animals that have died or animals that have been killed by lions or leopards or any of the other predators. And in front here we also do have a couple of pretty birds that are hunting in the, walking around in the grass and in the marshy areas. So sometimes for frogs and for tadpoles. And these are black-headed herons. So watch him, he might stab away that one in the middle. Sometimes they move their neck from side to side. Oh, look, the one looks like he might have spotted something. Let's see, maybe he spotted something. It's moving forward. It's almost like an arrow, that head of his, and he'll use that to spike whatever he's trying to catch. And there's 3 of them now. They're all trying to catch some food, some dinner at the end of the afternoon, because later they'll also be going off to roost, because they will only be hunting during the day, and at night they go off to sleep. And that's the time when the predators normally wake up and start to... Oh, there's one. There, he got something. He was lucky on that strike. Cool down nicely now. It's been very hot. I think I've got myself a little bit sunburnt. But we'll see how we feel this evening. I'll have to have a cold shower, spend the whole day out trying to find some special sightings for you. And we did find a very special scene with the lions and the elephant, with the warthog kill. So that was very fun indeed. And if you'd like to have a look at the action broadcast, you can have a look at #SafariLive and have a check for that, as it was quite a scene earlier this afternoon. Okay, so I think let's move on a little bit. Very tranquil here, but we might have a little bit more fun here in the mud. It's been one of those days where we've been throwing mud around, and luckily haven't got stuck just yet, but you never know, it might happen now. I am quite good at 4x4ing. I have been doing it for many years, so I do know how to drive in the mud and the wet, but everybody gets stuck sometime, and I've been stuck many times before. That's why I know how to drive a little bit better, because I've made lots of mistakes while I've been driving in the mud and in the rain. Alright folks, while I continue here trying not to get stuck, let's go over to Scott, who I'm not sure quite what he's got, but hopefully something quite exciting.
Well, it looks like that tree that you can see bending down at an angle is about to be pushed completely over by these elephants. And it sounds like you guys are getting spoilt on safari this afternoon. Ellie's up in Kenya, Ellie's down here, and the black-headed heron hunting. I'm told unsuccessfully, however. And these guys are just taking it easy, enjoying the snacks as they go along. Elephants are definitely one of Africa's biggest eaters, and they eat throughout the day. Basically, whenever they are moving, they are feeding. They are quite unique like that. There's not many animals that feed on as much as they do. And they'll be quite fussy. Even though they feed on huge amounts of food in total every day, on average 4% of their body weight, and for some of the big females in this herd, they'll weigh about 4 tons, so they'll be eating about 160 kilograms of food every day. That's about 400 pounds. So we've got another. That's because she's got lots of mud coated over her, so they would have been enjoying a mud wallow a little bit earlier on, before this baking hot African sun dried them out. Here we can see this individual a little bit better, clearly got quite a lot of mud caked on her skin. And it's definitely one of my favorite things to watch. Sadly, they're not too close to a water hole here, so it's going to be a while before they have a mud wallow, but on a hot day like this, they could have 3 or 4 mud wallows easily. Couple of youngsters in the herd as well. No tiny years of age. They grow quite slowly compared to a lot of the other animals that get born out here. Oh, it's going for a drink. Well, at least it was trying to. It doesn't seem like Mom thinks it's a good idea. Take a long time to develop, just like we do. They live for a kind of similar period as we do, around 60 years in total. How cool is this? She's right here, probably only 4 or 5 meters in front of us, and it looks like she's feeding on some small acacia saplings called knob. You can also see a stripe of mud across her face there, where she would have been using her funny long nose, called a trunk, but it is their nose after all, to fling mud all over her body. Hello. What? Smelling a predator here. This is the same area that we did have the Impala alarm calling a little bit earlier. So maybe that's what they're catching wind of, and that's what's bothering them a little bit. Hello, Tatiana. You would like to know why there's so many dead trees and trees that have been pushed over here. Well, that is thanks to the elephants. And there you can... in the short term, in that it kills any tree that they push over. It doesn't always kill them, but often it does. What that does is it creates a safe area for little baby trees to germinate from their seedlings and then start their life with a little bit of protection from other herbivores, or who knows, even other elephants. So it's a necessary destruction, and by them breaking down a few branches, they're not only creating, or trees, they're not only creating homes for other little plants to grow, but they're also creating little homes for small animals like insects and rodents. Who knows, maybe a leopard could use a pushed over tree as a den site to stash away her little cabin. And it just makes sure we don't live in too much of a jungle out here. So, like everything in life, or like most wild places, each animal has got their role to play, and even though some roles may not make sense to us as humans, it definitely does make sense for the ecosystem as a whole. The areas would become too thick, and lots of the animals that need grass to feed on wouldn't have those little open grassy plains that are kept open by the elephants. Well, Miss Brady's Elephants are very lucky. They're one of the few animals out here in Africa that don't really have to worry too much about being eaten by lions or leopards and or cheetah. Those are the three big cats we have out here that would be most likely to cause trouble. Examples of where lions have attacked elephants, not only baby elephants but kind of medium-sized elephants. But it's very few and far between, so for them to stay safe, all they need to do is stay by their mother's side, and even if they do get lost, their mothers are so protective and caring of them that they will often make sure they do everything in their power to make sure their youngster is safe and sound. So elephants are very lucky in that they're huge animals, and size and power is one of the things that commands a lot of respect out here in the animal kingdom. And if you are big and strong, about 250 kilograms, whereas a big elephant bull will weigh 6,000 kilograms. So 4, 6, so it's 24 times the size of a big male lion, which means 24 times more power and 24 times more. We're gonna say goodbye to the schools, and it's been absolutely wonderful having answering your questions and keep going on safari with you guys. So thanks again, and we will see you all next time. So
yes, everybody, I would like to just show you a very good example of an elephant bull in musth. Now, this is a stage in their life. It happens mostly fortnightly, every 2 weeks or so. They come into musth, and you can see the wetness behind his back legs. Now, this bull, the way that he's standing, you can see the way that he rolls his trunk around. He has been quite aggressive to a few vehicles already. Now, everybody now is giving him his distance, because anybody that comes anywhere near him, he's literally just charging at. So he's in that stage where you do not mess with this guy no matter what. Now, we've stopped literally probably about 300 meters away from him, and if away, because I know that he means trouble, and these are one of the animals on foot that we generally try to avoid. Them and breeding herds with tiny little babies, it depends on every situation. Obviously sometimes you can't avoid them, and sometimes they can be quite relaxed as well. It all depends on the day and on the situation, but clearly today, with him being in musth, he's a very aggressive. He's not happy at all, and anybody that comes near him is going to get it. So luckily everybody's giving him his space, and nobody will get hurt if that is maintained. But it is a necessary evil. This is what drives him to go towards the breeding herds and go looking for females, but it also does make them very naughty and sometimes very aggressive. So we've just got to remember that, and those are the little things, the little signs that we need to look out for as guides and as custodians of the bush, and we need to try and tell other people about it, because maybe then people might just think, why is this animal just being so aggressive towards me? But he's doing it for a particular reason, and if you look at the signs and you work it out and you stay out of his way when he's in this frame of mind, and then everybody is fine and everybody is happy. So look, he's not going to be happy because of that testosterone pumping through his blood now. It's almost like as if you had to take steroids and go to the gym and pump iron, and then, you know, it's just, you're so built up that you start looking for a fight. Now, I'm not saying that any of you do that. I'm just saying if you had to. Now, Wendy asking the question, at what age do they stop going into musth or being in musth? Wendy, it pretty much happens right through their life, and it's around 50 years old when they start to sort of slow down in that sexual activity, and the only thing that inhibits elephants is literally their teeth. They get their last enough energy from that vegetable matter, and so you start seeing them passing whole sticks and branches and leaves, etc. Now, folks, if Archie can just have a look at the way that he's walking towards us, he is still doing that big saunter that the elephants do when they're in musth, but he hasn't taken an amazing interest in us. So I'm going to spin around, and in the meantime, let's send you back over to Scott in South Africa.
Well, I certainly do love seeing big ellie bulls, especially when they're in musth, because you do have a chance of seeing them act in a bit of a mischievous way, which is always entertaining, and it's always musth bull will be in. What's for certain is that these elephants here are certainly not in any way mischievous. They have been completely relaxed. Very tasty, large fruited bush willow that they've all been snacking on, and they continue to snack on. What's been quite interesting is that a lot of them have been kind of almost regurgitating partially chewed up bits of these leaves and then blowing it all over their body. If we zoom in there, well done Senzo, you may see a few little flecks of green. The angle's not quite right, and the one elephant's ear keeps popping into the way, but they kind of look like they'd been covered by a green spray paint almost. Awesome stuff. Now that one on the end's taking a bit of a dust bath. Lucy, you'd like to know if elephants ever get blisters on their trunks. Not that I've ever seen. They've got incredibly thick and rough skin that I'm fairly certain will only be blistered by the most intense of temperatures. But even when they're ripping off leaves, off branches, we would get kind of the equivalent of a rope burn, but they are unaffected. Seems like these guys are all really enjoying just relaxing in the shade now. This closest one to us here just started doing this kind of spray painting of little leaf particles all over its body. There we go. It's kind of just like they're just like blowing their nose all over their body, essentially using their body like a big tissue. And it's just so awesome seeing them going about their business when we are so close by. And I think what kind of helped us with the sighting is that we got join us here. It wasn't like we intruded on them. So I think that's what's allowed us this epic sighting. And their trunks and their behavior and their individual personalities. So this is a great way to be spending a hot afternoon. sitting in the shade with some elephants. PT Waters, you would like to know? Come across a beautiful lady elephant. It's a bit of a strange one, PT Waters. It happens once or twice a year, I'm told, to any given bull that's gone through adolescence, and it lasts from anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 months, but I don't think they have too much say in as to when it happens. It can't be triggered for a few days when it suits them and then switched off. I think it just kind of naturally happens, and then they make the most of that period, or they make a fool of themselves during that period where they often don't have the best manners and probably convert less attempts than they would when I think it just ensures that during those months of the year there are some very, very interested elephant men who are taking the next generation and making thereof very seriously. Well, this has been absolutely wonderful. What's interesting is that these elephants have just turned around on their heels and are heading back in the exact same direction they came. Day, because it's uncommon to see animals come in one direction and then just move straight back out. But maybe we'll try and loop up ahead of them a little bit later. We're not too far from another waterhole, but it'll take them about 20 minutes or half an hour to get there if they do in fact carry on in that direction. Wonderful stuff. Well, we're going to leave them be. That was an epic sighting. Thank you, Ellies, and we are going to be sending you up to Kenya with Taylor.
You are back with us in Kenya now, and I'm going to play a song, but I'm trying to wait for it to load. Come on! It was working so well right now. Look at that massive cloud just starting to form over the top of the escarpment. That is huge, 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 huge. Let's see if the song will load, because it's perfect for what we're looking at the moment, and of course it's not working anymore. Typical. Absolutely typical. Let me turn my Wi-Fi off. Let's try it this way. Maybe it will work. Now. Yes. And that's all you get. My favorite movie in the whole world. Every single time I drive this forest road, I think of Jurassic Park. So I love the Jurassic Parks. I wanted to be a paleontologist for many years growing up. I used to excavate dinosaurs that were like in plaster Paris. It was one of my favorite things. And yes, and if you want to know what my favorite movie is, just because, you know, why not? It's The Nightmare Before Christmas by Tim Burton. I love all of Tim Burton's films. He's a fantastic director. So yeah, so Marty was just saying now he's going to have to go home and watch Jurassic Park. I think that's what I'll be doing tonight as well, is falling asleep to Jurassic Park. Oh, if I don't sleep then, well, at least I'll have some dinosaurs to keep me company. I might try, we need to get the surround sound on, and I'm going to watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning and terrify whoever is in my row of tents. Can you imagine some of those dinosaur noises? Linda, you said that was absolutely majestic. I can't take any credit for that, unfortunately. But that movie has the greatest soundtrack ever. All the music that comes from it is quite spectacular. Now we're just very slowly bumbling along the forest road looking for any animals. Did Ralph tell you about that elephant bull that he just had in Musth, how we watched it chase 2 people around? I got out of there very quickly because we were in that sighting, we were quite close to where the jackals were, and then when that bull started charging at everybody, I thought, no, we're not going to sit and wait. We'll get away from here. I think it sent some of the cars scattering. I think I got a bit of a fright, and I like it when sometimes things like that happen and nobody gets hurt, because it's just a reminder, and it's the biggest problem with guides, and I'm guilty of it too. All of us are. You become too complacent around the animals, which is a problem. You have to remember that they're wild and that they can be unpredictable. Obviously, we're trained at animal behavior, so we should be able to pick up some very subtle signs of agitation and respond to it accordingly. But if you don't, then that's how you get yourself into a bit of trouble quite quickly. And elephant bulls and musth are no fun to play around with. Actually, any angry animal is no fun to play around with. But look how dense the forest is in here. And another thing, southwest. Now, Scarlett, you're wondering if I could be any dinosaur, what would I be? A velociraptor, obviously. I think those things are insane. Well, the way that they depict them in Jurassic Park is pretty cool. Yeah, so I'd like that. I'd like to have velociraptors as guard dogs too. I don't think I'd ever have a security problem if I had a couple of those. I don't know, what would you call a pack of velociraptors? I don't know. Squadron? Maybe a squadron because of the way that they move. But yes, I feel as though I was born in the wrong lifetime. I would love to have seen dinosaurs when they were roaming the earth. Like, it gives me goosebumps. They are such amazing creatures. Well, they were such amazing creatures. But there's no birds in here, which would have been nice, seen as though we were talking about dinosaurs. That would have been quite cool to see an arena trogon or perhaps an African emerald cuckoo just sitting about the trees calling. But the forest seems to be on the quiet side. But seeing as though we're talking about dinosaurs and we've got Jurassic Park on the brain now, let's hop on board Ralph's car and find out what prehistoric creature he would have loved to have been.
If I was a dinosaur, I would be a brontosaurus, because I do think they're quite similar to elephants, gentle giants, being herbivores and friendly to all around them. So I think a brontosaurus would have been a good one. But I think velociraptor, that's quite a good choice of Taylor's, flying around. And yes, well, it's very interesting to think about the dinosaurs and what the world would have looked like if they were still around, and if we would indeed still be around. It's quite difficult to imagine the massive sheer scale of the size of the animals that actually used to roam the earth. How things have changed. We're gonna go around here. Sorry, it seems like a little bit of rally driving today, but we've been trying to explore different areas, and invariably I've been landing up in quite tricky spots that need to take a little bit of evasive action. There's been lots of holes, lots of wet, muddy tracks. But we've had a thoroughly enjoyable day, and it's not over just yet. I'm still hoping to find some predators or some black rhino here. We've been hugging the forest and quite thick vegetation here. And when I came over in the hot air balloon, we did see a rhino with a baby in this thicket right here. So if we are lucky, we might come across them or some other ones, but there have been quite a few around, and there are some leopards around as well, and they like to frequent this thicker vegetation, not so much out in the open plains like the lions do. So as you can see, very wet, hey? Very wet, and you've got to have your wits about you when you're driving through this stuff, because as soon as you lose momentum you land up sinking in, but you need to keep just the right amount of speed so that you're not plowing into the mud. You just want to float a little bit on top, and that's, you see, an indecision is not a good thing either. I was looking which way to go, but luckily we made it through. Not a problem. Still on the lookout. It's cooled down a lot now. It was actually a rather hot day, and I'm sure, as Taylor was showing you, it's getting quite dramatic with these clouds building, and they've been building since about lunchtime, and I wouldn't be surprised if this evening sometime we get a rather large downpour, as we did last night. I think it was at around 11 o'clock. Last night that it really started bucketing down, and sometimes it's quite nice. It cools. As we head up a little bit here, okay. So I'm really hoping that I'm going to get lucky here, and I hope that Taylor and Scott are also getting lucky with these. And while I continue on along nicely like this, I'm going to send you over to South Africa and see if indeed Scott has been able to find anything while I carry on.
Some tracks we've found on this road here, so we've just missed her. She could have gone back into our property. The tracks I've seen were tending to go south out of our area of traverse, and what I can do is show you some of the tracks here. Very, very fresh on the right hand side here. So those are I can see that now I can't see exactly up over there, and she would have tried to run away from them, and then she's that's the car that's moving. I heard a funny noise, so she's come along here, hang on, here, choop 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 choop, then the cars drove across the tracks here, then more tracks coming along here, and let's just try and confirm. Hard in the shady areas it becomes difficult. Oh no, here she goes. You should be able to get them, I think, or the pole might be just in the way, but she's crossed over here. Out of our property. Now I drove a little bit further up. She could have crossed back across the road, but no guarantees. Let's just keep driving up there. The stations, these tracks of this Mafazi Ingwe appear to cross south over Gowrie Main, just west of Weaver's Nest, but I'm just going to double check she hasn't linked back north. Sorry guys, I'm just listening to the Game Drive channel. Okay, copy, good luck Tax. I'll keep coming up to Shabam Junction and then head back towards Treehouse Dam. So it's very important that we communicate with all the guides and keep them updated on what's going on. Very, very good. No sign of her coming back though. I wonder who it could be. Possibly Shadow. And she does have a... I haven't seen Shadow for probably close on 2 years since I left the Sabi Sands quite some time back. This point earlier, this is where my vehicle tracks turn, but maybe I'll go a little bit further just to make sure she wasn't trying to get away from these Impala. And while we keep trying to find out where this lady has gone, we will send you up to another lady who's on tour up in Kenya.
And we've got a hippo who's twitching its ears at the moment. So I played the hippo song just now, Milky Chance song, and then I said, "Do you like the song Hippopotamus?" And then Manu very rudely answered. He thought I was talking to him. I wasn't. And his comment was, "Yes, I've heard the song 40 million times." Because I overplay songs all the time. I listen to a lot of music, not just the music that nature provides from the different sounds out here, from hippos calling to hyenas whooping, lions roaring, and birds tweeting. I listen to music all the time. I have my speaker on me 24/7. The only time I don't listen to music is during the show, except when I very sneakily play Jurassic Park theme music. Then I do. But this is a beautiful pool. This is a man-made dam, and I don't think it was necessarily created on purpose. I think they were actually digging from here, digging soil to use on the roads when they were repairing the roads. And unfortunately, well, not even unfortunately, it's just created this massive pool now, which the hippos are quite thankful for. You can have a bit of peace and quiet. There's 3 of them that are in here, and I think they've got such a great view. Manu, you called it an infinity pool. Almost. I think if we get any range night, it will be an infinity pool flowing over the edge. It's kind of like the Angama pool. Now, Mia, you're wondering if you can tell whether a hippo is a male or female when they're in the water. Wait, look at that one on the left, bouncing right out. It can be quite tough. It's easier when they're out on land, or if you have quite a few hippo together. You can use size. The male hippos generally get quite big, and they get much bigger teeth than the females. It can be quite. I find it particularly difficult. Look, what are they doing? We're going to roll around now. I think they're getting quite excited that sunset is on the way, and the weather is getting nice and cool, which means that they can. Well, they'll probably leave the water and go out and graze on some of this lovely green grass that's all around the Mara at the moment. These hippo are having a good time out here, just because there is an abundance of food. But what we need to do though, Manu, is we have to start climbing this hill, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. And I think I've avoided getting into trouble today, which is rare. I'm normally always doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. So we're going to go up the escarpment road now. Sorry, can I please have that whole thing again? Faith, I just missed something there. There we go. So, it's a question. It is a question, it's not a comment. Hi, Cheryl. That's my favorite name in the whole world, and everyone teases me. And I'm Cheryl. I think it was the last time I spoke to you, and the team laughed for hours at the way that I'd said Cheryl. I don't know what's wrong with the way that I say your name. I think I say it quite nice. Everyone says I sound like a Santon Kruger. So it's a very posh area in Johannesburg, and it's where all the moms drive the biggest 4x4s you've ever seen in your life, but they're all petite and tiny and blonde hair, and they speak with an interesting accent from Joburg. So kind of like the opposite as to how Byron speaks. We always tease Byron. So Cheryl, yes, I would like to guide in an area like Canada. I'd like to guide all over the world. So anywhere that there is wildlife. I won't be taking people around museums, unfortunately. As interesting as what they are, that's not my forte. I haven't got many stories about, cultural tours versus, doing a tour out in the wilderness. So yes, I would like to go into Canada. I'd go anywhere. Like I said, if I can add all the places in the world to my list, I will. I'll take any opportunity that I can get. Okay, let's go up. Buffalo, we're coming through. There's a resident group of Duggar boys that live around here, and they frequent the mud wallows. Some sometimes they brave the steep incline and come up the escarpment, but not all the time. Those hippos though, and then Djuma and his friend often come up into camp, which is a bit scary because we have no fences or anything like that, so any animal can really come on in. And we're just going to keep driving so that I'm not late today. I think I also saw Ralph somewhere. Oh, Faith is directing. Faith is actually saying one was outside her tent. Very nice to have a hippo munching away outside your tent. We have, the animal antics in camp are fantastic. We're just going to keep passing these buffalo very slowly. We'll have a quick look at them. I'll go into second gear. There they are. Hi, buffalo. Nice to see you guys again. Do you have a good day? Yeah. Been relaxing at the spa, I see. Ike also sort of got to do that. I think both Ralph and I got a little bit of mud on us. There they are. Those guys are sitting down, getting ready to brave the night. Be safe out there, although I don't think there's going to be too many animals that want to mess with you lot. Even the lions seem to turn the other way when they see big groups of buffalo like that. They know that it means a trouble. But what a great day it's been. I think it's been particularly fantastic. I've got to see jackals, and this morning on the safari, James was actually asking if we could see jackals, and I couldn't. Did we see a jackal, Manu? No, we didn't. We had them in the beginning, and then we couldn't get them on camera because they were shy. So to have those 4 jackal pups around the car, that was a nice surprise. We didn't find Scar though, which was also a request from this morning, but we found plenty other lions. I think in total we saw 22 lions today, which is pretty good going, not too shabby. And we got to see Cheetah, the border boys, which was someone else, and 2 other characters that we were looking for. Didn't find the leucistic hyena though, unfortunately. So we'll have to try again at some point to see if we can get those leucistic hyena, but we've got many more days ahead and we don't have to rush into that. Okay, I'm going to keep climbing up the hill. It seems as though Ralph has found one last cat for you. I hope he makes it to the gate in time.
Yes, well, it's a last-minute Pride of Lions. We've been looking for something just to end off our side of things, and luckily we've managed to find, it seems, I don't know if it's the Angama Pride or the Marsh Breakaway Pride. It's very far away, and that is the camera maxing out. As Archie comes out, you get a little bit of a scale. This is in a no off-roading area. I've driven a little bit off the road just to give us a little bit of elevation, but it's literally just a car's width off the road, so we won't get into trouble. But these lines are lovely to finish off with, and after this I'll have to be hot-footing it up the escarpment, and in order for us to be able to go out the gate. But lovely to finish off with another set of lions, as we did start off with a lovely group of lions. They were a lot more active than these ones are, however they did finish off like these lions are now. And be interesting to know whether this is the Marsh Breakaway or the Angama Pride. So yes, lovely end to a wonderful day, and it's not quite finished just yet for everybody, and wherever you are in the world, I hope you have enjoyed our safari that we've been going on. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it, and now that it's started to cool down, at least it's a little bit more comfortable for us. So while we sit here a little while longer with the lions, I'm going to send you off down south to Scott in South Africa.
The elephant that was having a mud wallow here will continue to do so, but I think he may have had enough. You can see he is glistening. He's covered his whole body in mud, and he's a young bull who's got a bit of an attitude. He was kind of like kicking the mud towards us in the hope that we would get wet, and he almost got us. I mean, I was following droplets of mud that were landing just at the base of the vehicle, and we're probably about 7 meters away from him, so it gives you a good idea of how strong he is. Now, one animal that will be very glad that this elephant has left the mud wallow is a terrapin, and I can see it somewhere just over there where my finger is. Seb, if you zoom in there, I can guide you in. Left a bit. There we go, straight in onto that island that's in the center of your frame. Keep zooming. Left a bit. Keep zooming in. There we go. On that little island with a bit of grass on it, there's a tiny little terrapin. And imagine how terrifying it must be being a tiny terrapin with a ginormous elephant slushing, smashing the mud with his feet, trying to create a softer and muddier kind of substrate as possible. The terrapin was there. He, I think, has just disappeared behind that little blade of grass. I saw him moving until just before we managed to zoom in on him. But you'll just have to believe me, because he was there, and so was the elephant, and now I'm sure the terrapin is very happy that it's gone. So we continued quite a way along this road, hoping, or a road behind us, in the hope that we would find some female leopard tracks crossing back into our property, but no joy. I didn't see any tracks. That's not to say she didn't. So what we're going to do is just swing past a water hole. Okay, I've just got confirmation from Taxon, another guide, that he also only sees tracks going south. So we just missed that leopard. Those tracks were steaming hot, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not looking around a little bit more. We just arrived at the scene a little bit too late, and the Impala were obviously looking in the last direction they saw her, but she had slunk quite a lot further west away from that position in order to get away from them before they set off too much of an alarm. It's so tricky. When I heard the alarm calls initially, we were stationary at this little waterhole we're going to now, and it's so difficult to gauge the distance of where these calls are coming from. And I mean, if we break things down and have a very simple example of how the audio from one place can vary greatly, is you can imagine if somebody is talking to you from 10 meters away and he is faced towards you like I am now, or faced away from you like I am now. I'm having to artificially make my voice lower because there's a microphone in my hat. So, but you know what I mean? If the Impala were facing away from me, it's going to sound like they're a lot further away than they actually are. So I kind of drove like 400 meters, stopped and listened. Drove another 400 meters, stopped and listened. But by the time I got to the Impala, we had already driven like about a mile. So had I just been able to do that once off, having listened just once. Oh, well done, Senzo. Senzo spotted some tiny little warthogs that we got a glimpse of a bit earlier. I'm guessing it's the same family. Let's just stop here and try and zoom in and get you a view of them. It's going to be tricky. There's only a few small little gaps in these bushes. I haven't given Senzo the best opportunity here. Let's keep moving. I just thought we'd try and bank a visual of them. They're tiny, cute little warthogs. 4 of them with their mama. And interestingly, they did seem quite relaxed when we saw them a bit earlier, but they were just in such thick vegetation that we couldn't... Stop. No, don't run. You got a glimpse. Let's keep going forward a bit. Well, they'll be glad to know that that female leopard is not heading in our direction, because she would love to snack on one of those. Here we go. They are such cute little things. and they literally follow their mother's every move. When their mom starts to poop, often they start pooping too, to that level of following, which I find quite fascinating. So you often see a whole family of warthogs pooping simultaneously. Do they get eaten, and kind of basically usually a warthog will give birth to 4 piglets. It's uncommon that you ever see an adult female warthog with 4 large piglets. Kind of the most I kind of remember seeing are kind of 2 or 1, because sadly the mortality rate of them is quite high. Ooh, let's see if we can get this puff back, puffing up its back. It's something we don't see very often. It seems like there's some birds. It's flown off though now, sadly. It seems like there's some birds having a little bit of a debate here. I saw a roller fly off, a hornbill, a puffback, and at this time of the year, a lot of birds will be fighting over nesting sites. Now, I'm actually not sure where a puffback nests. I don't think it's in a cavity in a tree, but definitely hornbills and lilac-breasted rollers will, and therefore they will fight with one another over those nesting sites. So yeah, Mia, sorry, you can just maybe let me know your question again, and I'll hopefully be able to do a bit. Very good. We are going to now continue on.
Ah, what a beautiful day it's been. And it was spectacular. Now we get to see it set. Now this is one of our favorite places, well, the crew's favorite places. We're not in the triangle anymore. We're actually quite close to where camp is based, and we often have sundowners here. There's big fig trees, there's quite a bit of water that's gathered, and it looks like they're doing a bit of renovating as well. You can see all the rocks have been dug up. That's just, of course, because we've had big trucks coming through, bulldozers and all sorts of other things, and big grading machines fixing. It's quite disturbed, and I think what they will do though, most of the time, is they will brush pack it. So they'll get thorny trees and come and put it over all the areas that they've disturbed, and then the ground will recover better. Manu, what bird is that up in the tree? Straight up above me. And go a little bit to the left. There we go, on that main, yeah, there we go, you got it? No. What are you? What is that? Hey now. And it made a strange call as well. I'm using my binoculars now because I can't see. What is that? I don't think I've seen. Is it a? No, I have no idea what that is. I don't think I've ever seen that bird in my life. That is so cool. Please take some screen grabs, and I've got my camera here. I'm going to try and take a photo very quickly so we can try and identify it. Whether I'm quick enough today, I'm not sure. My camera's not even on the right setting, so no. Hey, how hashtag Safari Live, but that is a new one for me. It's very interesting. A little bit better. That's made it much easier. It's like behaving a little bit like the starling, that sort of erratic movement. It's feeding on fruit. So those are 2 things that we know about it. That's very cool. Okay, well, we'll try and figure out what it is, or perhaps you already know what it is, and you can just hashtag Safari Live and let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking in my book, and I'm going to send you back across to Ralph so he can also say toodaloo.
Yes, everybody, and we've had a couple of carnivores on the show this afternoon, and what a fitting way to end our day in the Mara than having the local hyena come out of their den just for us as we cross over to, there's a little youngster here next to the road. The one that we started off with seemed to be a mother because she is heavily lactating as her mammary glands are very swollen. And this one obviously could be a little male, a lot smaller than the other one. Could be a youngster as well. But folks, from me, I need to head towards the gate, otherwise they're going to lock me inside the reserve. So I'm going to be heading towards the gate, trying to get out as quickly as possible. Thank you for joining me on a thoroughly enjoyable day in the bush. Please join us again tomorrow, but it's not over just yet. I'm going to be sending you south to Scott, and the show continues.
Everyone, we've just been doing some running repairs on a rattling antenna, but it seems to be okay for now. So you stuck with me for the last half hour, and it's gonna be fun. The reason being is because I am hoping we are going to get lucky in seeing Thandi and her little cub. Now, we haven't had much luck to date. We've only had 2 sightings of the little furball so far, the best of which was definitely with Tristan about 10 days ago. And I had another glimpse yesterday morning, and no joy since then. So both Tristan and I were out this morning. I was just taking some of the rest of our crew out on a drive. It was my morning off, so none of you would have seen me, but I did spend some time at that den site when Tristan wasn't there, so that if she did come back we'd be able to call him in quickly so he could show all of you. But we didn't have any luck. We were parked far away, just kind of keeping an eye on the area to see if Mom came home, and she didn't, so she was obviously looking for another meal. And what's really interesting is that it appears like she actually must have abandoned that Impala carcass. There was about just the head of an Impala remaining, dangling up in a tree, and it was 4 days old, and I'm guessing that some hyenas did come onto the scene while she was still feeding on it, so she would have just presumed that whole kill to be stolen and eaten. But it wasn't. Miraculously, the horns had kind of got stuck in the branches in a way that the hyena couldn't get it out of the tree, and some of you are lucky enough to watch some hyena dangling from that carcass, trying to yank it down from the tree. Not with any luck though, so what we might do is pop into the den site first. And the den site later. We'll go to the den first. And Wendy, you've just said, yay, Thandi and cub. I couldn't agree more, if in fact it does happen. If not though, certainly we couldn't ask for better prospects. To have a leopardess with a tiny little cub on the center of our property is a huge, huge blessing. And of course we cannot expect to spend every daylight hour with that cub as much as we would all like to. It's simply not a reality. But the chance is there, and I'm not sure if you guys all know, all the time that I've spent with Safari Live, we have not had any leopard cubs. When I arrived, there was Quarantine and Kunuma, who were about 18 months old, so you can't call them cubs anymore. And we didn't have any cubs to view, basically, for the 2 years that I was here. So I'm dying to spend time with cubs. I mean, I guess a little bit of time with Sindile. But we only started viewing him from about 3 or 4 months of age, I think. We didn't view him when he was tiny. Yeah. So So then as soon as Hosanna and Shongile were born, even though Brent may say otherwise, I was actually the first person to find that den, but I think he may have claimed that. And I left a few days after that happened, and then you guys had the joy of spending a lot of time with those two leopards and their mother. There's a whole herd of ellies up ahead of us, but it looks like they are heading in towards where the Impala kill is. So let's go there and hopefully we'll meet up with them over there. It's taking a lot of getting used to having not only the final control chat to me through this earpiece, but also having voices speaking to you at the same time. The FC's voice overrides the game drive channel, which does make sense, but you still have this like mishmash of voices, and obviously having the balance of us talking to you and trying to keep an ear as to what's going on the game drive channel, plus having a very little pea-sized brain. So I'm getting used to kind of balancing the volume and a bit out of there. Even lion cubs. Nikki's just reminded me we didn't have much luck with in my time here at Djuma. Oh, it sounds like there's some hyena getting very excited about something here. I can hear some squealing. So hyenas are still waiting here very patiently, hoping to get some snacks. But without the help of a leopard, I don't think they're going to get anything. Okay, hold tight everyone, we're about to be in a good spot, and it looks like these hyena are possibly going to put on a bit of a show for us. Ooh. Okay. Now I did hear some high-pitched kind of cackling when we came onto the scene, and you can see the three on the right are definitely greeting one another, and we'll notice that some will be submissive to the others. Hyenas have got an incredibly complex social hierarchy, and it's very difficult for us to, as humans, to just come in and know exactly what's going on. But what we can expect to see is some individuals acting submissively, cowering down to some of the more socially dominant individuals. And often with hyenas, it's not necessarily got anything to do with size. Sometimes, who knows, possibly that youngster there could be a future queen. Whew. Well, when the wind blows towards us from the tree that this Impala kill is in, it is not a very pleasant experience. And for those of you who have not yet seen the head of this Impala dangling from the tree, be warned, as Senzo zooms in, which he already has, you will be seeing some fairly gruesome scenes, mainly of flies. There'll be some maggots in and around the mouth, I'm almost certain of it. Tricky to see, actually. Maggots there yesterday, but they're having a great time, considering that the large predators who are supposed to have cashed in on this kill haven't. So the flies are getting a little bonus meal here. Clearly no sign of Tundi coming back here today. So I think what's happened is, like I said earlier, is that she was possibly up this tree. Let me get my timing right. Was it yesterday evening? No, the day before yesterday. I'm getting confused. But basically, she must have been up this tree, feeding on the Impala when the hyena came into the scene. And then she would have moved off and thought, well, the hyena are going to steal everything. She knew that it wasn't high up in the tree, and she would have looked back at them, yanking parts of it down. There was still quite a lot of it left. That was on Saturday night, and today is Monday, so 2 nights ago. But there was still a chance that she possibly would have come back to have a snack on the leftovers, but evidently she hasn't, which is quite unique. And who knows, maybe she made another kill somewhere else closer by to where she's keeping her little cub. Sorry guys, my earpiece cable has got tangled up in my back here, so I just need to try and work out what's going on. Jeez, how did that happen? It's kind of... Buy me some time by focusing on anything you can find. Thanks, Sense. Oh, there we go. There's the hyena. I'm having a nightmare here. Oh, there we go. Doesn't help that my back is so sticky in this hot, sweaty weather that we're experiencing. Okay, thanks, Sense. But I've managed to get everything fixed, kind of, for now. So, the fact that she's not here means she's in possibly 2 or 3 places. The den site, that is what we should all be hoping for. B, on the move somewhere looking for a meal. Or C, on a meal that she's already made, snacking, getting herself some much needed nutrition before heading back to the den. So those are the 3 kind of possibilities. Impossible to say which is more likely. It'd be so wonderful to be able to unobtrusively gain more information into leopards when they have dens, because they will vary their behavior a lot, and each individual leopard will be different to another. Whether they've got 1 cub, 2 cubs, or 3 cubs is going to... because I don't have too much knowledge on that, and I don't think anyone does, at least over a number of female leopards. Philip, you'd like to know whether a hyena that was called Gwen is still alive? Philip, I'm clueless. And her cubs, I heard about them. So in the last few weeks I heard that there was 1 young cub, Philip, that was still surviving at a den site. I think it's up on Aubrey's Road. My first 2 weeks here, Philip, I was assigned to doing a lot of bushwalk, so I spent very little time in a vehicle, and therefore what was going on with kind of vehicle-based things were of no major interest to me. The last I heard, and that was maybe a week ago, is that there was 1 young cub still surviving at this den. It appears, for those of you who don't know kind of the background story, not that I'm the right person to be telling you, but was very thin and emaciated, and it appears like one either died or was rescued and taken. So not the alpha female, and maybe the alpha female, you know, didn't like the fact that the beta female had also had a litter of cubs, and therefore attacked the beta female. Maybe their mother was the alpha female and she got overthrown, and the rest of the clan moved off with the new alpha. Difficult to be certain, but what I can assure you is that the hyena are a very complicated being, and they will attack their own species ferociously, and often not only their own species, but quite often their own clan members that have overstayed their welcome as rulers. I guess it could kind of be related to Game of Thrones. The humans back then, or in that series, act much like hyenas. They're happy to put a knife in their relative's back. I'm very proud of myself. I'm trying to teach myself to watch television, and I've been watching Game of Thrones as part of my training. And tonight we've got a movie night. So, I mean, I should get a certificate for TV and movie watching by the end of this month. The movie we're watching tonight is a secret. We all had a vote out of 6 movies. And now it's a surprise as to what movie. Don't know how I got onto that. Oh, we were talking about hyenas earlier. Forgive me. I have strayed. But Philip, what we'll do is tomorrow we are both out and about, and we will, well, I will make it my personal mission to go and find this den site and go and see if Gwen's youngsters are alive and give you a bit more information on that. Brenda, you would like to know if the hyena would possibly be able to track Tundi back to her den by following her scent trail. And yes, they most certainly would be able to do that. And I think that's one of the main reasons why leopards will move their den sites every 2 or 3 weeks, because even if it's in a wonderful, wonderful spot, there's a strong, strong likelihood that other predators, not only hyena but possibly other leopard or lion, can follow the scent trail into an area. And of course, if a leopard's backwards forwards into the same area, the likelihood of something snooping in there to find out why increases. So it is possible, but I'm hoping it's not the case. We've just got a wonderful message through, and that's from Nick B. And you have your bags packed, your safari gear all ready and lined up, and you are coming to South Africa, not just to South Africa, but to this very area, the Sabi Sands, and that is wonderful news. If you haven't been before, you are in for an absolute treat. Let me warn you in advance, it's very hot at the moment. But from around now, from about 5:30 in the evening, 6, it starts cooling down, and I guess it just makes the sundowners taste that much sweeter. Us before we head out on one of our afternoon drives. What we usually do for our visitor visits is have you guys arrive at 3:30, half an hour before we go live, and that way we can have a chat, show you around, and you can watch the start of the show if you like from the control room, and then continue on with your safari. So pop us a mail if that's the case, Nick, and we'll be able to fine-tune that. And thanks for letting us know. It's wonderful to hear from you guys all the time, be it questions, comments, thoughts, but to let us know that you're coming to visit is obviously very, very exciting. Hello, Scarlet Skies. You would like to know a little bit of kind of the behind the scenes, what 1 or 2 drinks, and just catch up, have a communal dinner, and then kind of take it easy. It's a little bit disjointed how we live, in that there's the landowner's sister's house, so she's got a kind of holiday house here on Djuma, and there are 3 bedrooms there, so Tristan and Ali stay in one, and then the other 2 rooms, one is occupied by Jared and Ashley, who are both new members to our crew, and Jared's involved in the tech side of things, and Ashley's involved in the kind of production, social media side of things. and I think the third room there people just kind of juggle between, and then the DRC, which is the name of the other camp where we stay, the Djuma research camp. It used to be a camp that was built for researchers to come in and stay at. There are about 10 semi-detached little rooms where we all stay, and it creates a bit of a courtyard, so we're all very close to one another there. And we spend a lot of time together for that very reason. We don't have an option to really escape, because all of our room, we're all next door neighbors. So we do spend a lot of time together, but we are incredibly lucky with our crew. We've got a fantastic crew and we all get along well, especially considering how much time we spend together day in, day out. So yeah, we get up to a whole bunch of different things. Some people like doing exercise during the day, which is disaster at the moment because it's so hot. I'm just talking quietly because Tundi's den is just up or down to our left here. So yeah, we do some exercise, have our morning meeting after the morning safari, have a snooze. I like having a snooze every day, especially here because we wake up very early in the morning. As you are well aware, we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, head out at 5, so it's nice to have a little snooze midday. It's one of the perks of the job. Edit some pictures, make some videos if it's cool, take some of the other guys who don't get out as much. Day drive like this morning. I had the morning off and I took some guys out and drive rather than sleeping in, also to help try give Tristan a hand. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I mean, I can't tell you too much about what we do, as I'll give away some little nasty secrets about us, which we need to keep you guys guessing about. Okay, well, the area you're looking into now is where I was hoping we were going to see Tundi's little ears twitching. But no joy. No sign of her anywhere here. So, I'm guessing what that means is that she's gone off to snack on a kill or try and make another kill. But it was somewhere in and around the root systems of this acacia tree that we saw her and her tiny little cub last. Who knows, maybe she's moved her den site again. It's not unlikely that that could have happened. Let me just drive a little bit back to where we were and see if another angle doesn't help us. It's such a cool spot down here. There's so many hiding places and possible den sites that she may have only just moved a few meters away, and that's something we do need to remember. There's a lot of fallen down logs and very good hiding places where she could decide to stash her. And yes, PT Watcher, like I did just mention, she could well have moved the den sites again. Maybe some hyena came onto the scene, maybe another leopard did. It's hard to be certain. Or maybe she just got a feeling like it was time to move. But I mean, look up ahead here. There's this fallen down tree in front of me, and right under there's lots of good hiding places where you could stash a cub. So, just waiting for her beady eyes to lock contact with mine once we find her. She can be a little bit aggressive, this leopard, even when she doesn't have cubs. So, a good example of how each different leopard will have its own personality. And on top of that, depending on the day, they may be a little bit moody on one day and not so much the next. Oof, no, the sun's not really working from this angle now. We were here in the morning last time. Let me just have a quick look with my binoculars and see if I can't see anything interesting. Even when the sunlight was in our favor,
one morning. It was very, very tricky to see her at certain times.
Hello, Sammy James. You'd like to know... Oh, a beautiful little sunbird. Not a white-bellied sunbird, I think it is. Well done, Sens. Sammy Jane, you'd like to know how long will it take before anyone finds the next den site? Well, it's hard to say. It's something that it's a difficult job for the trackers to actively track a leopardess to her den. Where she feels like she needs to attack us. So basically the only way to do it safely is as and when the leopardess has a kill or she's in a confirmed sighting, the trackers can hop off the vehicle and then backtrack her and try and get to the den site. But there needs to be ideally somebody that has a confirmed visual of the mother. Sabi and Rex working for us. They're on holiday and they are our two expert trackers. So we don't really have anyone to go off and do the hard work. And you tend to find that a lot of the trackers get comfortable on those soft seats on the front of their guides' cars, so they don't do too much tracking. So I'm not feeling too confident, but basically what we're relying on is we need to follow her back to her den by simply following her. So hopefully we find her somewhere, anywhere, on a kill, on the move, and she could... Shelley, you'd like to know how long will a cub stay in the den for? From about... feeding on meat, and that's when they are big enough and coordinated enough to be able to climb up trees. And even though it might be a small little scraggly tree, as long as they can climb and get a few meters off the ground, that means they're out of harm's way of a hyena, and means that they could very well get lucky in terms of escaping. So they also need to start eating meat from 3 months of age. They're not going to be getting enough nutrition very soon. I mean, in another 6 weeks, this little cub, and they're small at 3 months of age, they are going to be completely out of need or not requiring a den site. So I think it's fair to say, on average, the first 3 months, they'll be kept in den sites, stashed away. Thereon, wherever the mother kind of makes a kill, she'll move a short distance, whether it's 500 meters or a kilometer. Maybe they'll go for a drink. She'll find somewhere to just stash them, but it'll be not nearly as elaborate a den site as the first 3 months, that they need to be very, very cautious because they're not very good at looking after them. So, safari would probably be a little bit boring for everyone. Reward, but I think the risk not outweighs the reward, but I just think we... Back here, we will be able to find Tundi and that tiny little furball. Good. Hello, CNAC. You'd like to know what sunbirds are found in the Kruger National Park? Would be a small miracle. So what other ones here am I forgetting? I'm a little bit rusty on this area, Sinak, especially the birds of this area, seeing as I've been out of here for 2 years, but there's a whole big bunch of them that you get to see here. And like I said, the Kruger Park is long and thin, so and it stretches north-south, so there's a lot of different species of not just sunbirds, but all the different birds that you'll see in certain parts of the Kruger that you will not see here. Okay, what to do for the last half hour? Okay, well, we've just got a nice suggestion that's come through from Ashley. As you can see, I'm losing focus here. I nearly drove us straight into a mud wallow. Ashley suggested that we find a beautiful spot to enjoy a sundowner and the evening chorus of birds and just chill out for a bit, and I think that's a marvelous idea. So we will slowly make our way up towards the quarantine clearings. I think we might have to do a bit of a loop though before we get there, because we've still got quite a lot of time to play with. So which loop shall we do? How shall we loop-de-loop here? Not too sure which route to take, actually. So into your, well, at least I do. And that's, you kind of get used to driving certain roads, and you've got your roads that you prefer, and then you end up just like ignoring certain areas. So I'm going to take us through one of those areas that I've been through default ignoring. Debbie, sadly, no, we are nowhere near the Chitwa Dam. We are right in the center of Djuma, which is convenient because if Tundi's den site was on the fringes, obviously we would be concerned that her and her cub would spend time away from us, which would mean we would see them even less. But that's not the case. Quickly sends, I think, is that the young Wahlberg's poking its head up there? I think it could be. I think we might be able to see a great view. Yes, we can. How cool is that? What an epic view of this young little Wahlberg's eagle. And we were actually lucky enough to see this guy getting fed this morning. I'm not too sure exactly what its parents had caught it, but one of the parents was standing up on the nest, plucking little bits of what seemed to be a bird and feeding it to it. As you can see, it's covered in fluff at the moment, not many feathers just yet, and I've got no idea how old this little critter is. Its mom's beginning to call now. That's the noise you would have been able to hear. Her mom's out of sight from the angle we're in here. And how cool is this? What's interesting is that this nest has been here in all the time that I've been here. It might shift ever so slightly, but it's been in the same tree for at least 3 years that I've been here, and for many, many years before that. The mom's starting to call again. And there's a road that is called Wahlberg's Nest, thanks to this nest. So who knows how long this pair of Wahlberg's eagle, or possibly other Wahlberg's eagle before it, have been nesting here. There you can see the road turning off. That's Wahlberg's Nest. And I've been told by Ali this morning that there have been some recorded cases of Wahlberg's eagle going back to the same pair They have some serious experience and knowledge of this area. Imagine being able to ask them some questions about what they've seen all the years. There's Mother Bear, or possibly Papa Bear. Relaxing M, yes, a leopard could certainly reach that little furry Wahlberg's eagle chick. And I saw a leopard. It looked like a young leopard, and young leopards are usually more desperate than older, more experienced leopards, especially as they've been kicked out of home. I saw one climbing right up to a very, very high tree. I'm not sure what the tree was, and eating a baby vulture. And vultures usually nest right up on the top canopy of the trees. So, I mean, this would easily be achievable for a leopard to get to. And let's hope that doesn't happen, because it wouldn't be a very nice scene to witness. Ah, Susie, you've you suggesting baby antelope, and the area that I've decided to area where a lot of the antelope like to frequent in the evenings, because it's a big open clearing with predators to use as hiding points when they're stalking up on them. So we're heading to some beautiful big open clearings where hopefully we'll be able to see Footloose and Sputnik. Ian, you've challenged me to find a chameleon. Ian, I have been searching on foot during the day for chameleons for the last 2 weeks, walking close past bushes, possibly being too focused on trying to find a chameleon and not actually do my job, which involves finding a whole host of animals, not just chameleons. And during the day, it is near impossible to see a chameleon. You have to be very, very lucky / skilled to see one. The most likely way of spotting one during the day is when they cross the roads, but when they're sitting in bushes, unless you saw it in a bush with a spotlight the night before, it's going to be super tricky. So sadly, because we are closing down before sunsets at the moment, the chameleon hunting conditions are bleak. It's the best at night with the spotlight when they glow, usually a paler shade than all of the green leaves in the tree that they're sitting in. Ah, we've got our first babies. They're not the tiniest, but they are babies, and they are some Impala. I think Senzo may have fallen asleep temporarily there. I hope you guys also aren't sleeping at home. If you are, wake up, everyone. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you, Impala. So there's a few babies. Sorry guys, it sounds like there have been some gremlins on YouTube and you're not hearing everything I'm saying. So apologies for that. Some of you would like to know how many years exactly will the Wahlberg's eagles nest for and in any given tree. And Jersey Lady, I'm told that it was a of how long they live for too. Okay, where are Sputnik and Footloose, two young wildebeest? They've also got two cousins, but we weren't there to see them get born, so we couldn't name them. Tanya, you would like to know if most eagles are monogamous, and yes, they are. Most raptors do form lifelong bonds What's interesting with the pair of Wahlberg's eagle that nest at that road junction behind us that we looked at earlier is that they are both pale form Wahlbergs. So I'm guessing their two genes combined are going to be churning out a lot more pale form Wahlbergs into this area. Now, have we peaked too soon? I think we may have. We've arrived too early. Because we've still got a little bit of time until the sun sets. And this is our best spot to do it from. So let's do a little bit of a loop. There's a nice little loop we can do through this area. You can see the sunset a little bit high up. And I also hope that by searching a little bit further afield we might be able to find that little family of wildebeest. There's only about 8. There are still another 2 females that are heavily pregnant, according to Tristan. So hopefully we'll get a few more little juniors born to that herd, and who knows, maybe we'll be lucky enough to see them again. Sadly, the second birth was witnessed with me. Who would have thought that whilst on foot, which is what I was doing, we would film a wildebeest birth? I think we found a leopard on foot, then we saw a wildebeest birth on foot, we approached elephants on foot. I think Tundi made a kill, Jamie's cheetah made a kill, and Brent's lion, or Taylor's lion, made a kill, Taylor's lion. So that specific 2 hours went by very, very efficiently and smoothly, but sadly, it was a rehearsal. Ha! Oh well. That's how it goes out on these live safaris. You cannot predict or plan or know when anything exciting is going to happen. Sometimes it all happens at once. Sometimes nothing happens at all. Scarlett, you'd like to know how cool does it get in Djuma in the summer months? And not very cool at all. I still need to have a fan blowing on me at night. Sorry, I should have specified at night. I didn't specify that. I have my fan blowing on me full ball all night. And don't use a duvet. Don't use a sheet. Less is more. The actual temperature, I'm guessing probably mid-20s. I guess also probably the rooms we stay in also retain a little bit of the heat. This probably doesn't help our cause greatly. Without a t-shirt on quite comfortably and happily, so there's not much of a contrast at all. Winters when you get the big contrast in temperature. The winter nights can be freezing, and especially the early mornings and late evenings when you're driving around on open vehicles. But come kind of 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's beautiful sunny weather, shorts, t-shirt, no problem. It's just those first few hours when it can be bitterly cold, and you'll be covered up in scarves, gloves, everything, lots of layers. And then come the middle of the day, you very seldom have clouds in the sky, wonderful weather. It's a great time of year for us to actually, I enjoy the Sabi Sands in winter. Summer, your window of opportunity to explore is very small, in my opinion, unless you're going out after dark, and going out after dark is complicated unless you've got very fancy equipment which allows you to view things without interfering in what they get up to. So the Sabi Sands winter is my favorite time of the year here. here because you're not uncomfortably hot and you can spend the whole day out on safari. It also means we can also go for lots of joyrides with the rest of our crew, whereas in summer it sometimes just doesn't make sense to. Sadly, I'm probably going to be back up in the Masai Mara for the next Sabi Sands winter. I think the plan is for me to head back up there in March. Ah, Sinak, you're interested. Oh, because Sinak's so interested in birds, I've got to stop this and get it for you, and then if you ever come to visit, I'll give it to you. Actually, you have to tell me that you're going to come and visit, otherwise I'm not going to keep this. It'll be a gift as and when you come. I think I saw something. Ah, I did. Because Sinak is a bird watching enthusiast, I've gathered, I've collected you a feather of a lilac-breasted roller, which is French for lilac-breasted roller. Okay, very beautiful colors. And Sinak, you're interested to know about owl hunting. I don't know if you guys saw the colors well. Could you see the colors well earlier? Beautiful. Wonderful. It's all about the angle. How crazy when you turn the angle, the colors start popping out. So I wasn't sure if I had the right angle initially. Good. So you're interested to know about owl hunting at night. And yes, it's definitely best done at night. You can find owls during the day. You just look for their kind of upright owl-like body shape with those two little tufts sticking up off their head. So you can see them during the day, but it's definitely easier at night when they're moving around. For complimenting my very fancy French, oui. And the owls that you could be lucky enough to see here, Sinak, are the spotted eagle owl, the giant eagle owl, or Verreaux's eagle owl is their new name, and a barn owl is another one that you could see in the evening. But to be honest, not the best place I've ever worked to see owls. You see them from time to time here, but there's not a huge population of them. Apologies. Just thought I'd squeeze in a big gulp there whilst the gremlins. Sounds like there's some issues with the feed for some reason this afternoon. Apologies for that. Thanks very much to everyone who had complimented my we're wondering. You'll be alarmed to hear, Andy, that Brent is now claiming to be the cheetah man. And Yes, Andy, I am very excited to be going back up to the Masai Mara. I get bored quite easily, to be honest, so I don't think I'd be able to survive longer than 3 months in the Sabi Sands with the small traverse that we have. So just as well, the Mara is an option for me, and I am already excited, and I will be even more excited by the time the next few months has passed to head back up there. But what must be said is that we are all incredibly lucky to be not only here but also in the Masai Mara. These two destinations really do complement one another so well. They're so different to one another, and it's wonderful for everyone involved. FC, the cameraman, the presenters, you guys, and I just hope that we manage to get a few more locations under the belt. Spend like 3 or 4 months in a destination and then move on to the next, and have kind of like a mobile FC that just follows me around in a Unimog. That's what I would like. It's also what our boss would like. He's got the plans from you and your friends. So that's how you can help. Hi Philip, you say this is your favorite wildlife themed soap opera on the internet, and it's probably the only one that gives you daily soapies. So thankfully now you're not too spoiled for choice. We're your only option, really. But I am glad that you do enjoy what we do, because we take a lot of care and pride in it, and it's great to have you guys along for the adventure. It would be awfully lonely driving around here with nobody to see or play with. Oh yay! We found the Wildebeest, including Footloose and Sputnik, 2 of the new additions. So, what I would like to do is get onto a good spot where we can view them and also enjoy the setting sun and just have, excuse me, a few moments of silence. They seem to be heading into the perfect spot for us to get some kind of silhouetted leading the way at the moment. Ooh, yeah, this could work magically. Not as magically as I would like it to, because there's a few trees in the way now, but let's just stay here. No, hold on guys, we're going to go for gold. Apologies. We are going to try and get you the perfect spot. You see, where the sun's setting now, there's all these bushes in the way. I want to try and get to that clear section there. Get the sun between us and that. Oh yeah, this is going to be good. Just going to have to hope the wildebeest continue walking through the frame, but they should. So the big bull is clearing the pathway for his ladies. He will be the first to pass through that beautiful spot where we're going to get their silhouettes. But while he makes his way there, let's take a look at the rest of the herd and all the youngsters, and I'll let Senzo know when the best opportunity will be to get them going through the little golden gap that we found with the setting sun. Now sadly there's not too many birds. Four of them still, so still another 2 to be born, hopefully. And which ones appear to still be pregnant? The one on the back left looks like she could well be to me. She looks like she's got quite a belly on her. Yeah, there's a baby in there. So that's one. The other one that could still be pregnant, I'm not too sure. Maybe the front one. Yeah, it looks like that one. It's hard to see because she's front on. Oh, we just missed the bull walking through the sunset spot. Anyway, hopefully the rest of the herd will follow suit shortly, and we will get some magical views. Come on, guys. Oh, no, now the bull's doing some dust kicking. I need to move. Oh, quickly, Scott. Quickly. Jason, you're wondering which one is footloose. It's difficult to know exactly who is who. Okay. This is going to be beautiful if he does it again. He is going to do it again. He's going to roll around now in the dust. And hopefully when he stands up again, we are going to get some fantastic views of him, kind of like the stereotypical bull scraping his foot to intimidate their opponents. How beautiful is this? Okay, so I'm going to start keeping quiet now. We're going to keep quiet for a minute, turn up all the ambience so you can hear all the sounds and just enjoy a minute of silence, and then we'll still have a couple of minutes to chat afterwards. Enjoy. Wasn't that absolutely magical, everyone? I hope you guys enjoyed that tranquil and beautiful scene. Oh, thankfully we called it when we did, because those impalas would have given us all the frights of our lives if we had all been watching that sleepy wildebeest. The sunset after his dust bath. It looks like there's a few for a more picture perfect finish with safe spot with his family. Thanks so much for all of your contributions, questions and comments. It will be another wonderful day to be out on safari tomorrow, so make sure you don't miss out on the action. Well done to all the team in the final controls, both here and in the Mara. We will see you all next time.